Oven. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana, that one you know, Yasodanandana. Yasodanandana. The next one. Very good. Let's go back to the beginning. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Brajajana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayam Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Gaur Premanandi Haribo. Today's Saturday. All day long, it's Saturday. And then on Wednesday, what happens? Wednesday? Nrsimha's appearance day. So Dasami, tomorrow's Ekadasi, Dwadasi, Trayodasi, and Chaturdasi. So we'll be observing Nrsimha's appearance day on Wednesday. So I thought this evening we could speak something about Lord Nrsimha. And I'll try to make it sensible for your two kids. But because it's Saturday, experience tells us that Saturday morning, Saturday evening, more people are online than weekdays. So there are going to be a lot of questions from the online people. But I'll take your questions first, so let's see how it goes. We'll start with your elder brother. Tell me one thing that you can remember or think about Lord Nrsimha.
Lord Nrsimha is half lion and half human.
Half man, right. Half human, right. Do you know why?
Because of the boons that were given to Hiranyakashipu.
Okay, who gave the boons, do you know? Lord Brahma, right? Right. Okay. You know the circumstance, he wanted immortality, and Brahma said, oh, I'm not immortal, I can't give you immortality. So then he tried to figure out a way he'd be immortal. He couldn't be killed this way, that way. Say something else that you know about Lord Nrsimha, besides he's half man, half lion. Who was his dearmost devotee? Prahlad. Yeah, definitely. The personality of Godhead has many, many, many forms. He has many forms because he's unlimited, and his devotees have particular affection for him in different unlimited ways, so he accepts a form to correspond with their devotion for him. You with me? You're trying to follow. We read this yesterday when Narada Muni was explaining to Gopakumar, this in Brihat Bhagavatamrita, about the forms of the Lord and the forms of the devotees of the Lord. This was in Vaikuntha, and in this particular story we've been reading, Kumar, he's a kid, he's a little boy, and he was born in Govardhan, by Govardhan in Vrindavan, and so he was a cowherd boy, Gopa Kumar. And he received mantra from a guru who lived there, or resided there for some time, and he chanted this mantra. The guru told him that it will bestow upon you all desirable things. So he had many desires, like we all do. And so he experienced different things. And one of the things he experienced was, from chanting his mantra in Vrindavan, he was able to see Gopal, because his mantra was the Madan Gopal mantra. So he saw Gopal and the cowherd boys, and he went running and suddenly disappeared. This went on for some time. The personality of Godhead understood he's hankering like anything to be with Madan Gopal in the spiritual world. So the two associates from Vaikuntha came in their vimana, their transcendental airplane, and pulled them on board and took him to Vaikuntha. And he went through the upper planetary systems, through the coverings of the universe, into the Brahmajyoti, and attained Vaikuntha realm. And so his experience there was very interesting, very, very interesting. And lo and behold, there was Narada Muni, after some time staying in Vaikuntha. And Narada Muni gave him some lessons about what he was experiencing and what he's going to experience next. So he was describing that in the spiritual world, the forms are all spiritual. There's no material covering like here. Gross matter doesn't exist there. It's just spiritual form. And the form that the living entities assume corresponds with their particular devotion. And then the Lord knows their devotion, and He accepts a form to correspond with their devotion. So it's like reciprocation of love. So in Vaikuntha, we commonly hear Lord Narayan has 4 hands with symbols of Vishnu in each of the hands and so forth. He has dark complexion and pitambar. He has a yellow cloth and ornaments and crown and so forth. The opulences of Vaikuntha. But Madan Gopakumar was seeing Gopal. That is, the Lord of Vaikuntha knew his devotion, so he was showing him that form. And he was puzzling, because sometimes you see him in a forearm form and sometimes in Gopal. So he was puzzled. He's a little boy. What's going on here? So Narada explained that the Lord assumes a form, or manifests a form, to correspond with the particular mood of love of his worshipper or his devotee. So this form of Lord Nrsimhadev appeared. One of the main purposes of his appearance was to protect Prahlad. And because Prahlad was not only being intimidated, Prahlad's life was being threatened by his father. He wasn't a nice man. Not at all. And the reason he was threatening to kill his son was because, in his opinion, his son was devoted to his enemy. And in his opinion, his enemy was Vishnu. And the reason for Vishnu being his enemy is because Vishnu had killed his younger brother. And the younger brother of Hiranyakashipu was Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyakashipu were sons of Diti. You heard her name? Diti? D-I-T-I, Diti. Kashyapa and Diti. So they were the firstborn sons of those two. And they were big-time demons. Not like small-time, big-time. They were terrorizing the universe, not just terrorizing some part of the Middle East or something. They were terrorizing the universe. And Vishnu killed Hiranyaksha. It's a long story. And as Lord Varaha. And so Hiranyakashipu considered him enemy. And now his son is a devotee of his enemy. So he wanted to kill his son. He's like, okay, you took the wrong side, I'm going to kill you. And he couldn't kill him. He tried and he tried and he tried so many ways to kill him. And then he started, for the first time ever, he became fearful. He became fearful because this little boy is more powerful than me, and I'm the most powerful person in the universe. And he's more powerful than me. And he didn't know what to do. So the teachers of the little boys in the school said, "Don't worry, he's just a little boy. He'll get over it. We're good teachers. We'll teach him how to become a good demon. Don't worry." Turn him back to the school. So that's what he did, and then lots of things happened. This is before Nrsimha Deva appeared. He gave extensive teachings to his classmates. And when the teachers came in the room and heard him giving teachings about Vishnu to his classmates, they flipped. They just ran to Hiranyakashipu and said, "You know what he's doing? He's giving lessons about Vishnu, bhakti, to all the kids. He's polluting them. Do something." So he came to do something. And he threatened to kill him. Again, he had others try to kill him. "No, I'm going to kill you." And you know the story, right? You know the story? What happened? What happened?
And then he couldn't kill him. He prayed to Vishnu.
Yeah.
Vishnu kept saving him.
Yeah.
And then later, Nrsimha Deva appeared and
How did he appear? Do you know?
he was breaking.
He came out of a pillar, right? Why did he come out of a pillar?
Because Prahlad said Vishnu is everywhere.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, is he in the?" And then Hiranyakashipu was wasn't, "Well, is he in this pillar?" And broke the pillar and
So he took his sword and smashed the pillar and made a big mess of Hiranyakashipu. And then all of the soldiers, they came and he finished them too, and he's roaring, he's so angry. Transcendental anger, not the kind we know, the transcendental kind. So the demigods, there's a whole chapter, they offered prayers to pacify the Lord. He wouldn't get pacified. So now I wanted to read from that point. I want to read just 4 verses. The great Saint Narada continued, "The demigods headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other great demigods dared not come forward before the Lord, who at that time was extremely angry." Well, they were offering prayers, but from a distance. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmiji, was requested to go before the Lord by all the demigods present, who, because of fear, could not do so. But even she had never seen such a wonderful and extraordinary form of the Lord, and thus she could not approach him. Now, commentary says 2 things. Of course she's seen the form of the Lord. He's eternal, and every yuga cycle he appears, so she's seen him. And he has a form like that in Vaikuntha realm. She's seen him. So she's seen him, but she's saying she hasn't seen him. Why? And the explanation given by our acharyas is she was moved to speak like that and to feel like that to create an atmosphere of astonishment. If Lakshmi even hasn't seen this form, then... So, astonishment is one of the 7 secondary rasas. You familiar with that from Nectar Devotion? 5 primary rasas and 7 secondary, making 12. 5 plus 7, 12. The 5 primary rasas are neutrality, servitorship, going up, friendship, parental affection, conjugal love. Neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, conjugal love. And there's 7 secondary rasas. Chivalry is one of them. Astonishment is another. So she was in the mood of astonishment because it's a secondary rasa that strengthens the primary rasa. And then the others, because the goddess of fortune was in that mood, they were also experiencing that secondary rasa. Rasa means a taste in relation to the personality of Godhead. So now, thereafter Lord Brahma requested Prahlad Maharaj, who was standing very near him, "My dear son, Lord Nrsimhadev is extremely angry at your demoniac father. Please, go forward and appease the Lord." Narada Muni continued, "O king, although the exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj was only a little boy, he accepted Lord Brahma's words. He's my superior, he's giving me some instruction. Here I go." He gradually proceeded toward Lord Nrsimhadev and fell down to offer his respectful obeisances with folded hands. When Lord Nrsimhadev saw the small boy Prahlad Maharaj prostrated at the soles of his lotus feet, he became most ecstatic in affection toward his devotee. Raising Prahlad, the Lord placed his lotus hand upon the boy's head, because his hand is always ready to create fearlessness in all his devotees. The word in Sanskrit for fear is bhaya, and fearlessness is abhaya, and krita abhaya is the word used to describe his hand. His hand is always ready to create fearlessness, krita abhayam. Purport: the necessities of material world are four: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And one of them is bhaya, fearing or defending. In this material world, everyone is in fearful consciousness. Sada samudvigna dhyam. Sada, always. Samudvigna dhyam. They're always disturbed by fear. And the only means to make everyone fearless is Krishna consciousness. When Lord Nrsimhadev appeared at Krishna, because in one of the symptoms of surrender to Krishna is he's my protector. So if one is protected by the all-powerful person, you're fearless. Not foolish, but fearless. You don't take unnecessary risk, but you feel protected. So even when there's danger, you're feeling protected. There's this COVID-19 going on, so we're not foolish. We're taking precaution. But ultimately, the precaution is not going to save me. It's Krishna's going to save me. Often Prabhupada would give this example. Supposing somebody's very wealthy and they hire a very, very, very expensive doctor. The expensive doctor can't cure their child or can't cure them. If it's determined they're uncurable. If it's time to go, it's time to go. No amount of money or good physician can solve a medical problem. It doesn't mean we don't go to doctors, but ultimately everything's in the hand of Krishna. We do our duties and we take shelter of Krishna for protection, for well-being. When Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, all the devotees became fearless. Well, the demigods were a little fearful. They're devotees. But they were fearful because the goddess of fortune was fearful, and she was fearful because of this secondary rasa of and Prahlad understood that roaring of Lord Nrsimhadev, that's meant for the non-devotees. It's not meant for the devotees. So as soon as Prahlad came forward, it just and he touched him on the head. He didn't rip him apart or anything. He just touched him with his hand on his head. The devotees' hope to become fearless is to chant the holy name of the Lord, of Lord Nrsimhadev. Yato yato yamin tato Nrsimha. Wherever we go, we must always think of Lord Nrsimhadev. Thus there will be no fear for the devotee of the Lord. Last time I was here in Naperville, we were discussing the story of Dhruva. You know the story of Dhruva? You too? No, not at all? Do you know Dhruva? He underwent austerities, and Lord Vishnu came and blessed him that he would achieve the spiritual world, but he had to rule his father's kingdom for a long time. That story doesn't ring a bell? You're not sure? Huh?
It kind of does.
Kinda. Okay. He was, like Prahlad, celebrated story. Little boy, 5, 6 years old, little boy. And many things happened. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but he became very determined to get a kingdom that was better than his father. He met Narada. Narada was sent to him by Vishnu. Narada gave him a means of devotional service and a mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that was the mantra. And he chanted the mantra, did very, very, very severe austerities and practiced yoga, Ashtanga yoga for a long time, for 6 months, and achieved perfection, where Vishnu came. And when Vishnu came, similar to what happens here, Vishnu touched his head with his conch shell. And he was in ecstasy, just by the touch of the Lord's conch shell. And before that, when Narada met Dhruva, he just placed his hand on his head, little boy. So this question came up when we were describing Dhruva. How are we going to get touched on the head? That was a big turnaround for Dhruva, for when Narada and then Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Vishnu. And here's Lord Nrsimhadev. So that's not so likely to happen to us, or Lord appear and placing his hand on our heads or something like that. So what's our opportunity? And there's one answer that's right here, then there's another answer in the Gajendra Moksha story. Gajendra Moksha, Gajendra is an elephant. Gaja means elephant. And Indra is the king of elephants. Gajendra was his name. So when he was touched by Lord Vishnu, he became completely transformed. He also got that touch. But the remembrance of Lord Vishnu came by his chanting of some prayers that he had recited in his previous life as a king, King Indradumna. So Prabhupada explains there, just as Dhruva was benedicted, here just as Prahlad is benedicted, just as Gajendra is benedicted, how are we going to get ours? It's by the sound vibration of Krishna Katha or Hari Katha, just as we're doing right now, and combined Harikatha and the holy name. These two, sound and sound. Harikatha, topics of Hari, and Krishna's name. Hari Nam and Harikatha. Then that's the touch of the lotus hand of the Supreme Lord upon our head. That's our good fortune. Sound vibration. It goes through the ear, but it will spiritualize our existence just through sound. Text 6, by the touch of Lord Nrsimha's hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed from all material contaminations and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendentally situated, and all of the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body, his heart filled with love, and his eyes with tears. And thus, he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. And there's similar messages in Bhagavad Gita. We all are encouraged to study Bhagavad Gita carefully. So one of the concluding verses of chapter 14 is about the modes of nature. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma boyaya kalpate. One comes to the level of Brahman, brahma boyaya kalpate, by the process of undivided devotion. So Prahlad already had the undivided devotion, even before the touch on his head. But the touch on his head was like it all came together at once. On the strength of these verses from Bhagavad Gita, it is evident that, although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family, he was cleansed of all material bodily contamination because of his exalted position as a devotee. Such impediments on the spiritual path could not stop him from progressing, for he was directly in touch with the Supreme Lord. Those who are physically and mentally contaminated by atheism cannot be situated on the transcendental platform, but as soon as one is freed from material contamination, he is immediately fit to be situated in devotional service. So how to become situated in devotional service? Become free from material contamination. How do you become free from material contamination? By contact with that which is all spiritual, or the supreme pure makes everything pure. And the name of Krishna, Hari Nam, and the topics of Krishna, Harikatha, Vishuddha Sattva, completely pure. So our existence becomes purified that way, and thus eligible for devotional service, regardless of what's in the background. And final, Prahlad Maharaj fixed his mind and sight upon Lord Nrsimhadev with full attention, in complete trance. With a fixed mind, he began to offer prayers in love with a faltering voice. So the very next verse starts his prayers, which are very wonderful. And he's now in this stage of samadhi. Now, samadhi doesn't mean you lose contact with the external world. You just get lost somewhere. It may appear to be like that, but samadhi means, it actually means, the mind doesn't move. It's fixed. And how does the mind become fixed? There's a reference. There's a very common reference that Prabhupada would make from the last chapter of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's the first verse of the last chapter. Dhyana vastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yoginaha. One becomes free from the stage of trance or fixed consciousness is where material diversions don't take the mind away. That's not our situation. Our situation is our mind is going all over the place. Not only all the time, but it's particularly noticeable when you try to chant attentively. The mind goes all over the place. And what to do, because the mind has a tendency to go all over the place, like a monkey. How do you train a monkey? But if monkeys can be trained, you can train the mind. And so the mind can be trained, and that's the practice of directing the mind to the sound. And your way that you direct the mind to the sound is through the ear. You hear the sound. This is because Harinam and Harikatha, they're both sound and sound, spiritual sound. And from that spiritual sound, if the ear becomes attentive, the mind can be conquered. That's our method of coming to the stage where the mind doesn't move. You can still be engaged, because here's Prahlad is in samadhi, but he's going to do stuff. He's not just, stoically sitting there in a yoga posture and going off in samadhi. He's engaged in activity, with his eyes seeing the Lord, with his hands folded before him. His mouth is speaking. He's doing things with his mind fully fixed. And that's what devotional service is. Devotional service is, this is a nice definition given by Narada Muni, the definition of bhakti. It has two parts. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratrena nirmalam. Sarva upadi. You let go of the contamination of the soul, of identifying with the covering of the soul. Upadi, the designation. I'm a sannyasi and you're grahastas. That's a designation. It's not who I am and who you are. We're living our life this way for some time, and that's fine. And I observe the codes of sannyas, and you observe the duties of grahastas, that's fine. While we're doing those things, that's not who we are. We're doing those things, but that's not who we are. So who are we? During this coronavirus situation, the producer of the Hare Krishna film very kindly made it available for free for people to listen and view it online. Have you seen? Yeah? Oh, good. I like it. I saw it 6 times. And in the film, in that movie, twice, what Bhaktisiddhanta is said about Bhaktisiddhanta, his mission, and Prabhupada's statement of his mission is so simple. With Prabhupada, there's this interviewer, Swamiji, what would you say is the perfection of life? And Prabhupada repeats, the perfection of life is to know who you are. I mean, that's step one. But, perfection of life is to know who you are. So, to know who you are, and then the reporter says, oh, know who you are. Prabhupada says, yes, know who you are. So to know who you are, unpack it, and you have to know who you are in relation to the source of everything. And that source of everything is a person, and to know that person and who you are is through the medium of service. But just, you have to know who you are. And the obstacle is we have so many ideas, misconceptions, or upadhis of who we're not. That's what upadhi means, a designation. So the definition of bhakti starts with that part. Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. Then the other part, Rishikena, Rishikesha. Rishikesha means the master of the senses. Rishikesha is Lord or master. Rishikesha is the master of the senses. So you use Rishikena, Rishikesha. Use the senses in the service of the master of the senses for his pleasure. And that can bring one to the stage of samadhi, because the senses become purified, the mind becomes purified, the intelligence becomes purified, then our existence becomes purified. So then we can engage our purified senses and purified mind in service to the Supreme Pure, in all varieties of activity. So he's in samadhi, looking at the personality of Godhead, eye to eye. He's in this state of ecstasy. And his first words are words of humility, which is natural for an elevated person, is that they're very, very humble. And he shows that first of all to the Lord. So there's many more things to say. His prayers are fantastic, but that's another time. But this is Prahlad's, the person for whom Lord Nrsimhadev appeared to give his protection. After seeing the form of the Lord, he comes before the Lord on the order of Brahma to pacify him. And these exchanges take place. He gets the opportunity to speak perfectly realized, eloquent prayers. Although he's just a little boy, hasn't gone. He attended the school of Shukracharya's sons. Shukracharya is the priest of the demons. Not a nice guy. He's a Brahmin, but he's an atheist. So he has no attraction for what the sons of Shukracharya are teaching, but his good fortune is he heard everything from Narada. And he was pretty young, he hadn't even been born yet, but he heard everything from Narada for a long time. How long did Hiranyakashipu do his austerity with his arms in the air, standing on his toes? You know how long? 100 celestial years. Try it for 5 minutes. And the whole time that Hiranyakashipu had gone to the forest to do that austerity in order to become immortal, his wife was placed in the care of Narada Muni. Her name was Kayadu. She was placed in the care of Narada Muni. It's a long story of how that happened. And so Narada Muni was giving spiritual teachings to his mother, knowing that in the womb of his mother was a great devotee. He already told Indra, no, within Kayadu's womb is a great personality. So he's giving spiritual teachings for 100 celestial years. His mother asked Narada for a benediction. Could you give the benediction, my son will not be born till my husband comes back? I guess it would have been a big problem if her husband didn't come back. But he came back. And then Prahlad was born. So that whole time he was hearing from Narada Muni. And he remembered and his mother forgot. So and one of the main points, I wanted to take these verses because it's one of several messages within the Bhagavatam, this touch of the hand of the devotee or the touch of the hand of the Supreme Lord, and how that gives benefit to the recipient of that mercy. And our benefit comes in the form of sound. Same. It's a fact that the sound and the Lord are the same. Abhina tvam nama namino. There's no difference, bhina, there's no separation between the name and the person. Nama and nami, the person named. So we're just a little covered. We're not quite like Prahlad. He's in ecstasy. But elevated devotees, they're in ecstasy just by hearing. So let's see if there's some discussion in anticipation of Lord Nrsimhadeva's appearance. You get the first chance, the people in the room, because otherwise we're going to go to the online. Anything? You're on, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much for the great classes. We are really enjoying your classes. One comment I would like to say is, on every day, morning and evening, you are taking the classes from the beginning.
Yeah.
By hearing that continuously from the beginning of this pandemic, I'm hearing that one. From my heart, I'm saying these words are real. The thing is I'm feeling that happiness, and the outcome of this happiness is making me to wake up early and do my chanting.
Oh, good. Me too.
Yeah. The follow-up on that one question is, so if I'm for some reason in the middle of the days, some days due to my work, or if I miss this one, I'm little bit losing that sweetness. What does it mean? Means I'm not doing that continuously. I'm hearing right now and I'm doing that rounds of chanting, and at least I'm doing that continuously in the morning, waking up and being on time.
Good.
But how can I keep that? This happens in before also when you visited Naperville. He see that one. But this is not keep continuing. How can I keep this continue?
Well, it's the short answer. Without purification, it won't. So with purification, it will. And how do we get purification? Well, Jiva Goswami quotes Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras. There's something that you do every day for an extended period of time with faith. That's his definition of abhyasa. By practice of that which is genuine, you become purified. And consciousness becomes elevated and can stay there. But if consciousness becomes elevated and doesn't stay there, it means there's still some purification required. That's okay. I'm ready for purification because that consciousness is so meaningful and sustaining and joyful, and it just carries one beyond the struggle. Yeah. Mam eva ye prapadyante. You know the verse? Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante maya me tam tarantite. Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, duratyaya, very difficult struggle. The struggle with material nature. Daivi hi esha guna mayi. Mama maya duratyaya. Very difficult struggle with Maya. But you can easily cross beyond the struggle by one thing. Mam eva ye prapadyante. Take shelter of Krishna. You're on the other side of that struggle. And so the difficulty is we're quite covered or impure, conditioned to the struggle. Like, something's wrong if I'm not struggling. So we go back and get, because of attachments, not so much to the struggle, but to the trying to be the enjoyer of the material atmosphere. And we're not meant to be the enjoyer of the material atmosphere. We're meant to be Krishna's servant. Whatever that means, that's what we're meant for. So when we do like that, then it can be this or that. Like the weather in Chicago. I mean, last several days, it just suddenly this morning, it was 20 degrees warmer. Who knows what's going to be tomorrow? You have something?
Hare Krishna Kumar.
Yeah.
From childhood, the anger is always a quality that we should control, and we've been taught and we teach the kids. However, when I hear Lord mention that, is it right understanding that when it is shown in the right circumstances?
When what?
When anger is shown in the right circumstances, the required circumstances, it is still the right quality when it is shown under certain circumstances?
I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying that... I'm not sure what you're saying. Lord Nrsimha became angry, but that's transcendental anger, and our anger is not transcendental anger. Is that what you're saying? Yes. There's a difference. There's a difference between darkness and daylight. That much difference. So within the Supreme, there's this nice description. Within Krishna is everything. Say it negative. There isn't something here that doesn't exist within the Supreme. If it's here, it exists within the Supreme. And so anger exists within the Supreme. But it's not our kind of anger. This is we're controlled by it. And it's dark. It's very dark. It's, one of the darkest regions of the mode of ignorance is anger. More dark than lust. It's, so transcendental has its place in the life of a devotee, like Hanuman. Hanuman was exhibiting anger. Look at what's happened to Sita when he saw what the Rakshasis were doing. He heard the whole conversation between Ravana, and if you don't yield, then I'm going to eat you. Gosh. And she, poor Sita, he wanted to destroy the Rakshasis. And she said no. So then he wanted to show Ravan a lesson. Anyway, so he exhibited, this is our acharyas are describing, that's transcendental anger. He wasn't controlled by it, he was using it in the service of Ram. And as soon as the service of Ram was over, the anger was gone. He was back to being Hanuman. So it's not being controlled by, but in the service to. And then as soon as that service is completed, another example, Arjuna. Arjuna was being a pacifist. Lengthy, Prabhupada would say. It's not good to kill. And he wanted to leave the battlefield, and so he was doing a good thing. And Krishna was inspiring him, stay on the battlefield. And how can you do battle without anger? So it was inciting his anger. But not saying heavy-duty things, go out and, blast him. He was speaking on principles of Dharma. What's the duty of a Kshatriya? To give protection. So this is your quality, this is your training. Attempted murder multiple times, and etc., etc. He's punishable by laws of Dharma. So do it. Be angry. In the service of Krishna. And then when the service of Krishna is over, the anger is gone. That's not easy. Our conditioning is the other kind of anger, not the transcendental one. And we're not Kshatriyas either. But for those that are, for the warrior class, they're trained and they must think for purposes of protection of innocent people. Any thought you want to share? Nothing. You're good. Contented. You're smiling at least. Okay, we'll do the online questions.
This is Radharani. Friend-enemy program is Hiranyakashipu consciousness.
Speak slowly.
Friend-enemy program is Hiranyakashipu consciousness.
Yeah.
Mind always slips into this consciousness when hurt very badly. We understand it comes because of my own past misdeeds. That's all.
Well, that's it. It's an observation. It's not exactly a question. That's so fine.
This is Venu Prabhu. You mentioned that Prahlad Maharaj felt that the roar of Nrsimha Dev is for non-devotees. Demigods like Lord Brahma are exalted devotees, and they could not pacify the Lord with their wonderful prayers or even overcome the fear to approach him. How do we understand this?
Well, Prahlad is transcendental, and the others that were present were not as transcendental as Prahlad. Prahlad could see what they couldn't see because of his transcendental consciousness. We'll say it in reverse. If one's consciousness is not pure like this, if one's consciousness is not pure, then one will not be able to see properly and will have emotions connected to whatever it is that you see. We're moved by material emotion and material conceptions of things. When we're pure, then we're not. So Prahlad was pure and he could understand. That was discussed really in detail by Lord Brahma's prayers, chapter 14. Go ahead.
This is Sandhya Mataji. I have a question. When the Devas were going to arrest Prahlad's mother, Narada Muni tells them to stop and that the child in her womb is a great devotee of the Lord.
Yeah.
What was Prahlad's previous history that made Narada Muni speak like that?
There are there's two versions that I'm aware of. This appearance of Lord Nrsimha Dev takes place in different yuga cycles. And in one of those yuga cycles, Prahlad, in this particular one, Prahlad is sent from Vaikuntha by the Supreme Lord. He tells that in chapter 10 of Canto 7. He was sent by the Lord to teach the way of pure devotional service. However, there's another Purana that's from another yuga cycle where previously, in his previous life, he was a Brahmana and made an offense, and so he had this curse that he became a demon, and the son of a demon. But he was previously a Brahmana. There's details. That reference is found in... Where is it found? I can't remember. Deva Goswami's writings, I believe. I can't remember. Do you remember?
I think I heard one of your lectures.
Yes.
Skanda.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is Sri Hari, Brajeshwari Pran Mataji's son. Why Brahma and other demigods give boons to demons and humans who work against Vishnu instead of helping them to go to Krishna?
Well, after this whole incident, Vishnu chastises Brahma and says, don't give benedictions like this to demons again. But he gave in part because Hiranyakashipu was disturbing the whole universe. His austerities were so severe that the whole universe was disturbed. And so the demigods requested Brahma, go and stop this, whatever it is. So, because of his austerities, the tendency is for great personalities that have the power to give benedictions, when somebody asks for a benediction, even it may not be helpful, they commonly give the benediction. But they commonly give the benediction in such a way, it turns out, looks terrible, but it turns out to be beneficial. So that's why.
He has a second question, Sri Hari. Why did Jaya and Vijaya, who came as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, killed at different times? One spent more time on earth than the other. Even the same with Ravana and Kumbhakarna.
Well, Ravana and Kumbhakarna were pretty close to being finished around the same time. But Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were different because Hiranyaksha, being killed by Vishnu, then caused Hiranyakashipu to be very, very specific in his hatred towards Vishnu. So it led to this particular appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. So they don't have to be annihilated at the same time. There's no rule like that.
This is Rajapriya's question, Sumangala Mataji's daughter. What does it mean, 100 celestial years?
What it means is, in our earthly realm, the passage of 6 months is 1 day in the celestial realm. And another 6 months is 1 night in the celestial realm. So 1 year here is 1 day there. So 100 celestial years is a long time.
This is Ramya from St. Louis. How do we cultivate the mood of fearlessness when we are placed in difficult situations that we face in our lives?
Such as?
Difficult situations that we face in our lives.
Well, she must know by now the verse that I recite all the time. 11th canto, chapter 3, I think it's verse 27. Bhayam, fear. Bhayam, dvitiyam abhiniveshitak syat. Abhinivesh means absorption. Bhayam, dvitiyam abhiniveshitak syat. So when we're absorbed in dvitiyam, the duality or bodily conception of life brings duality. when we're absorbed in the bodily conception of life, bhayam arises, syat. Fear arises by absorption in the bodily conception of life. So how do we get out of the bodily, and then we're absorbed in the bodily conception of life and fear arises. We forget Isha, we forget the Supreme Lord, we forget our purpose of life, we forget everything that's higher. We just get swept away in illusion and fear. So that then the solution, which is what she's asking, is in the second half of the verse, and that solution is sound. We hear instructions from qualified persons, from self-realized persons. And by hearing that sound vibration, illusion can be dismissed, fear can be gone. Otherwise, fear will rise and fall, but it'll always be there to some degree because of absorption in the bodily conception of life. And that's practically everybody. So, sound vibration, hear regularly. I know that one of her strengths comes from hearing. When she hears, she feels strong. And so, hear regularly and stay strong.
This is Mahati Kirti Mataji. Can you please explain what pastime did Lord Nrsimhadev perform after killing Hiranyakashipu?
There's different descriptions. One of them is given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where Lord Nrsimhadev goes to Nrsimhapalli, it's a place in Navadvip, and he's angry, and he does meditation to reduce his anger. It's a very special place, a temple in Navadvip, Nrsimhapalli. And there's different explanations from different sources that say where he went next.
This is Sridevi Mataji. Prahlad Maharaj's teachers are Sanda and Amarka, who are Sukracharya's sons. Bali Maharaj, who is a grandson of Prahlad Maharaj.
Yeah.
His spiritual master is Sukracharya.
Yeah.
So, is it like after they become king, Sukracharya becomes their guru?
Well, he's the guru for the Daityas, for demoniac clan. And they come and go, and he has this long life, and he continues being their instructor or guru. Yeah.
This is from Vachaspati, Jyotirmaya Mataji's son. Jaya and Vijaya were cursed to take birth in this material world as enemies of the Supreme Lord. Each of their lifetimes take place in different yugas.
Yes.
After they have been killed by the Supreme Lord, there is still some time remaining before their next birth.
There's a whole lot of time.
What happens to them during this time period?
I've asked that question of different scholars, and the answer I've gotten is our acharyas don't say. So what do we know about such a thing as that without guru or sadhu or shastra? So there's no shastra, there's nothing that I or others are aware of that says where'd they go. They had to go somewhere. Where that somewhere is, it's not stated.
This is Kasturi Manjari Mataji. One of the reasons for Jaya and Vijaya to come down as demons was to give pleasure to Krishna by fighting. When we hear these pastimes, how should we see these demons fighting? As demons or devotees?
Demons.
This is Venkateshan Prabhu, I think Vasanta Prabhu. Brajasundari's question. why different incarnations of Krishna have different colors? Like Rama appeared in greenish color.
Why not? He's full of variety, and he can come however he likes.
This is Radha Kunja Bihari Prabhu. Is the anger exhibited by Lord Parashuram different from the anger exhibited by Nrsimha?
Yes. I mean, they're both of a transcendental nature, but they're different. Because Lord Nrsimha was angry because of the difficulty that Prahlad was put in, and he was directly dealing with those who put Prahlad in difficulty. Parashuram's anger was Kshatriyas in general. Kind of big, well, it's a transcendental anger. That's the similarity, and the nature of the transcendental anger is different in the two cases.
This is Raghava Chaitanya Prabhu. Is it possibly due to Narada Mahamuni's benediction to Kayadu that Hiranyakashipu could do his austerities and come back after 100 years?
No. That's his speculation. He asked a speculation question yesterday. And my comment is, that's a speculation question. Okay? Is that it?
This is Amara Mataji's question. Follow-up question on fear. Many times I know that Krishna will protect, but body manifests fear. What is the situation when you're aware that you're fearful, and you also know that Krishna will protect in his own way, and also you're able to observe the body is manifesting symptoms of fear like palpitation?
Observing the body's what?
Body is manifesting fear, the symptoms of fear.
So she's saying she's experiencing her body and the symptoms of fear within her body. Is that what she's saying?
Yes.
And then, so her question is?
And she's aware of the symptoms, and she's also convinced that Krishna will protect.
So
But
they're inconsistent. What to do? That's her question?
why is this happening that I know it, I know Krishna will protect, but these things...
Well, we lots of things we know, and we're not there yet. There's a big gap between what we know and where we are. And so that's this liminal space topic we've been speaking about, and get used to feeling uncomfortable of knowing but not being there yet. So you just keep striving to get there. And in the in-between where you are and where you want to be, where you know is the right place to be, there's the transition between the two is uncomfortable, commonly. If you're feeling comfortable, you must be doing something wrong. It means you're not going anywhere, you're just staying in your comfortable zone. Saying, oh, isn't that nice? And doing nothing. But so, it's okay. Continue to strive to reach the goal. That's it. No.
Yeah. So I think her question was, how do I get over it and be fixed in Krishna's protection?
Okay.
And
you got to be a technology person to do this program.
this is Mahati Mataji. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha came as demons, do they still have the free will to continue to be devotees, but instead they stayed demoniac?
Who?
Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha.
Well, they didn't become devotees. They got freed from the reactions of all their bad deeds, but they didn't do any devotional service.
But in case of Vritrasura, he continued to be a devotee although he was in the demoniac body.
Yes. That's a very special case.
And this is Visalaksha Prabhu. Mother Kayadu could not hear Srimad Bhagavatam, but Sri Prahlad Maharaj observed and responding to hear. So how to improve and observe the hearing?
Kayadu did hear, and Prahlad did hear. Kayadu forgot, and Prahlad remembered. The reason she forgot is described is when she went back after she came to know that Hiranyakashipu returned from his austerities, she returned. And in his unwholesome association, she forgot. Her memory became covered over by bad association. Prahlad had the same bad association, but he wasn't attached. He was detached. He had affection or care, but Kayadu was attached, so she forgot. So don't get attached, Vishalaksha. We're done. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you a parting final question. Out of all of what you've heard today, what you can go first. You can go first. Is there something that it stands out in your mind that you're going to remember, tonight before you go to bed, or tomorrow morning when you wake up, or something, a lesson or message or some understanding about bhakti, life of devotion?
Don't get attached.
Okay. And what's the alternative to getting attached? That because Prahlad had the same association as his mother, and Prahlad cared for his mother. He cared for his father. When Hiranyakashipu was killed, and Prahlad was asked for a benediction, he said, please forgive my father for all of his misdeeds. Please deliver him from all of the wrong things he did, including, trying to take my life. Please forgive him and make him cleansed of all those misdeeds. So Prahlad wasn't attached in the negative sense, he was affectionate in the positive sense. He was in transcendental consciousness. So don't get attached is how to engage in the things of our life that are important to us, but not if it goes this way that I'm happy, and if it goes that way that I'm not happy anymore. I'm like sad or angry or disturbed, or that's the result of attachment. So we act as it's our natural way to do. And we're allowing whatever the consequences of those actions are. It's up to Krishna. It's in his hand. It's like, you have exams. Not yet, but you're going to, they're coming. So when you prepare for your exams, and some exams you do really well, maybe one of those exams you don't do really well. So what's the feeling when you find out you didn't do really well? I know some people that like that. I studied so hard, and I know I did terrible in the exam, and the other, you prepare, you do your duty, and you leave everything up to Krishna. If you leave everything up to Krishna, your memory is likely to be sharper and you'll do better in the exam than if you're just like stressed out and attached. So detached doesn't mean, or not be attached doesn't mean I don't care. Not that. You make your best effort and the results are up to Krishna. That's what detached means.
Our opportunity for a touch on the head by the Lord is sound.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You got it. Fantastic. Okay, so I think we're done.
There's one question from Radha.
Radha's got a question. How old are you? What's your age?
9.
And Radha is?
6 or 7.
6 or 7. We're going to hear Radha's question.
Radha's question was, during danger, Prahlad prayed. So when we are in danger, can we pray, and is that enough?
Well, you definitely can pray, but you do more than pray. You do some whatever practical services that's required considering the time of danger. Supposing somebody comes barging in the front door with a weapon. We can pray, and then we may want to do something else besides just pray. Depends. Or, you're driving in a car, she's young, but your dad's driving in a car and the car's coming head-on collision. You can pray, but I hope he turns the wheel and tries to get out of the way of that head-on car. In addition to praying, you do some practical activity to address the danger. Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhupada ki jai.